From a gay truck driver in a small town to Hollywood's ultimate symbol of masculinity, only to fall into a tragedy that shook the world. This is the journey of Rock Hudson, a man who lived two lives, one on the silver screen, where he was the perfect embodiment of 1950s America, and one in the shadows, where he had to hide his true self. When his secret was exposed, it didn't just destroy his image, it changed history. Today, we'll dive deep into the life of Rock Hudson, from his challenging childhood through the heights of fame to the moment he changed the world. Picture a small town in Winnetka, Illinois, in the 1930s, during the grip of the Great Depression strangling America. In a cramped house, 11 people lived together: grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. Among them was a boy named Roy Harold Scherer Jr., who the world would later know as Rock Hudson. Roy was a cheerful child, running through the wheat fields near his home, telling jokes to his aunts and uncles, always wearing a radiant smile. That boy had a vivid imagination, often dreaming of things bigger than his narrow life in Winnetka. But when Roy was 6, his life changed forever. His father, Roy Sr., a man detached from his family, one day packed his bags, closed his suitcase, and left without a word of explanation. That sudden departure left a deep wound in Roy's heart. He became reserved, quiet, and found solace only in the darkened movie theaters of the town. In those theaters, Roy idolized stars like John Hall, a handsome actor with a commanding presence. Young Roy sat there in the flickering light of the screen, dreaming of one day standing under the spotlight, becoming a star like his idol. But that dream wasn't welcomed in his family. Roy's stepfather, Wallace Fitzgerald, was a harsh man who believed acting was a girl's job. He confiscated toys he deemed feminine, punished Roy for crying or showing emotion, and when Roy confessed his dream of becoming an actor, his stepfather beat him. I can feel Roy's pain, a boy forced to hide his passion just to stay safe. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to bury your dreams just to please others? For Roy, that was the reality he faced every day. But the fire of passion inside him never died. He learned to keep secrets, not just about his dreams, but about his true self, a lesson that would follow him throughout his life. After high school, Roy and his mother moved to Pasadena, California, near the movie capital of Hollywood, to chase his dream. He enrolled at the University of Southern California to study acting, but that dream was cut short when he couldn't afford the tuition. Life in California was expensive, and Roy was forced to work as a truck driver, a monotonous job that took him through the dusty roads of Los Angeles. But Roy didn't give up. Between deliveries, he bought a cheap suit, slightly tight and ill-fitting, and stood outside studio gates, hoping someone would notice him. He imagined walking through those gates, being invited to an audition, and becoming a star. But Hollywood didn't open its doors easily. Roy was rejected, ignored, and his dreams seemed further away than ever. I think of Roy standing there in his worn-out suit, with burning hope but no one paying attention. It's a lonely moment, but it also shows his incredible perseverance. Then one day, Roy discovered a world he didn't know existed, the secret gay community in 1940s Los Angeles. In a small bar, he met Mark and George, a gay couple living happily and openly with each other, though they had to keep it hidden from society. They became Roy's second family, the first people he could share his true self with without fear of judgment. Mark and George weren't just friends, they were emotional anchors, showing Roy a life where love and authenticity could exist, even in the shadows. They introduced him to Ken Hodge, a radio producer with a warm smile and magnetic confidence. Roy and Ken quickly fell in love. They moved into a small apartment together in Hollywood, and Ken became Roy's unofficial agent. Ken helped Roy get his first professional photos, introduced him to industry contacts, and threw parties to help Roy network with people who could open doors to his career. I feel this was a hopeful chapter in Roy's life, when he first experienced unconditional love and support. But Hollywood, with its harsh rules, wouldn't let things be that easy. To become a star, Roy needed a guide, and that guide was Henry Wilson, a powerful but controversial agent. Henry saw potential in Roy, his handsome face, tall stature, and determination, but he also saw a major problem: Roy's sexuality. In 1940s Hollywood, being gay was considered a sin, something that could destroy a career in an instant. Henry demanded Roy end his relationship with Ken, a heartbreaking decision that forced Roy to give up the man he loved. Henry also changed Roy's name to Rock Hudson, a strong, masculine name, completely at odds with the shy, vulnerable boy Roy truly was. Henry trained Rock ruthlessly, fixing his voice, changing his walk, erasing any trace of what he deemed feminine. He made Rock take boxing lessons, ride horses, and even had a vocal coach force him to scream until his voice deepened, a brutal process that permanently cost him his ability to sing. I can't help but think of the cruelty of this transformation. Rock had to give up not just his love, but his very self. Have you ever wondered how much you'd be willing to sacrifice for your dreams? For Rock, the price was his true identity, a sacrifice he'd carry for the rest of his life. Under Henry's guidance, Rock began his journey to stardom. But the path wasn't easy. Rock lacked acting experience, often clumsy on set, ruining takes and frustrating directors. In his first film, Fighter Squadron, his role was so small it consisted of just one line, and even that he flubbed so many times the director gave it to someone else. But Rock didn't give up. He was sent to Universal's acting school, where he learned to project confidence, strength, and masculinity, qualities post-war American audiences craved. Slowly, Rock began to change. He grew more confident, his presence more commanding, and he started catching the eye of producers. By the mid-1950s, Rock Hudson became Hollywood's biggest star. He starred in Magnificent Obsession alongside Susan Hayward, a celebrated actress known for her elegant beauty and emotional depth. His role as a bad boy turned good catapulted him to fame. The film was a massive hit, and Rock became the perfect symbol of American masculinity, strong, confident, and romantic enough to make audiences swoon. Next came a series of romantic comedies with Debbie Reynolds, a bright star with a radiant smile and playful charm. In Pillow Talk, Rock played a man pretending to be someone else to win love, a storyline eerily similar to his real life, where he also had to pretend to hide his true self. These films weren't just commercial successes. They cemented Rock's image as the ideal man, the one every woman dreamed of and every man wanted to be. But behind the glamour, Rock lived in constant fear. To squash rumors about his sexuality, Henry Wilson arranged for Rock to marry his secretary, Phyllis Gates, in 1955. The marriage, though it seemed happy at first, was essentially a staged act to protect Rock's image. Rock and Phyllis had joyful moments, spending time with Mark and George, but the pressure of hiding the truth drove a wedge between them. Rock continued secret relationships, like with Jack Navarre, another young actor under Henry's wing, but Henry, with his manipulative ways, always sabotaged Rock's relationships, seeing them as threats to his career. The marriage to Phyllis fell apart after 3 years, as neither could bear the strain any longer. I feel heartbroken for Rock, a man who longed for real love but was forced to live in an endless charade. Have you ever thought about what's more painful, living a fake life or losing the chance to love authentically? In 1956, Rock got the chance to tackle a more complex role in Giant, an epic about a Texas oil family. He played Bick Benedict, a strong but conflicted man. Director George Stevens had Rock study stars like Gary Cooper and Spencer Tracy, who also had complicated personal lives, but projected perfect masculinity on screen. The film was a huge success, earning multiple Oscar nominations, but Rock remained trapped in perfect man roles. He yearned to play more complex characters, but producers only wanted him as eye candy. As one director put it, "I see this as a quiet tragedy." Rock worked hard to become a real actor, but Hollywood only cared about his looks. Do you ever feel it's unfair when someone's talent is overlooked because their image is too perfect? In the 1960s, Rock continued starring in romantic comedies, but he grew tired of the persona built for him. He was also fed up with Henry Wilson, who controlled every aspect of his life. In 1964, Rock met Tom Clark, a PR employee at MGM, and they quickly fell in love. Tom encouraged Rock to break free from Henry. And finally, Rock found the courage to end their toxic relationship. But freedom came at a cost. Without Henry, Rock struggled to choose roles, and his career began to decline with a string of flops. From a box office king, he slowly faded from the spotlight. I find this phase heartbreaking. Rock sacrificed so much for fame, but when he tried to reclaim his freedom, he lost his shine. Do you think freedom is sometimes worth more than fame? In 1970, during a theater tour, Rock visited San Francisco and met John Reshi, a young writer exploring urban life. Instead of a loud party, they met at a small cafe in the Castro, a hub for the gay community. John, who had recently come out to his family, took Rock through bookstores and gay clubs where people lived authentically. In a cozy moment, John shared a draft of his novel, and Rock, with genuine warmth, read a passage aloud, moving John deeply. This encounter was like a breath of fresh air, showing Rock a world where he could be free. I think this moment is special. For the first time, Rock saw the freedom he'd never dared dream of. But it also highlighted his pain, a man trapped by the image Hollywood created. John urged Rock to come out. But Rock, from an older generation, felt it was impossible. Do you think, if Rock had lived in a different era, he could have lived as his true self? In 1984, Rock's life changed forever when he was diagnosed with AIDS, a disease heavily stigmatized at the time. He secretly flew to Paris for treatment, but Hollywood's demands pulled him back to star in Dynasty, a hit TV show. Playing a strong, charming man, Rock hid his deteriorating health. But when he appeared on Debbie Reynolds' TV show, audiences noticed something was wrong. Rock was gaunt, frail, and barely able to stand. Debbie, with her warm heart, worried for him, but Rock just smiled and said he was fine. I feel heartbroken by Rock's resilience. He knew he was facing death, but kept smiling to protect those around him. Have you ever wondered what gives someone the strength to stay so strong in their darkest moments? By 1985, unable to hide any longer, Rock announced his illness from a Paris hospital. The statement shocked the world, shattering his perfect image. But surprisingly, instead of being shunned, Rock received love from friends and fans worldwide. Elizabeth Taylor, his close friend, sent words of encouragement saying his actions would help destigmatize AIDS. Letters from fans, from Madonna to strangers, flooded the hospital, expressing admiration and love. I feel this was Rock's most powerful moment. After decades of living a lie, he chose truth, even at the cost of his career and fame. Have you ever thought about what it takes to find the courage to face the world like that? Rock Hudson passed away in October 1985 in his Los Angeles home, surrounded by his closest friends. But his legacy didn't end there. His public disclosure changed how the world viewed AIDS, spurring research and fundraising. Elizabeth Taylor, his dear friend, co-founded AMFAR, an organization that has distributed thousands of grants for drug development, rapid testing, and recently, HIV vaccine trials. Rock's actions saved millions of lives, transforming him from a Hollywood star into a history-changing icon. I'm deeply moved by Rock's impact. He didn't choose to be a hero, but in his final days, he did what no star before or after him could. Do you think sometimes the greatest changes come from the most painful moments? Rock Hudson's story is one of sacrifice, courage, and the power of truth. From a boy in Winnetka dreaming of stardom, to Hollywood's masculine ideal, to a man who changed the world, Rock lived a life of highs and lows. He hid his true self to achieve fame, but when faced with life and death, he chose to live authentically. And that choice changed history. I see Rock as an reluctant hero, a man who didn't want to be an icon but left an eternal legacy. Do you feel the same? Which moment in Rock's life touched you? Let's look back at those years. In the 1950s, Hollywood was a world of glamour but also harsh rules. Stars like Rock Hudson had to be not only talented, but also fit the mold society expected. For Rock, that meant being a strong, confident, heterosexual man, an image completely at odds with who he truly was. But he did it, not just through talent, but through incredible perseverance and adaptability. I think that's what makes Rock special. He didn't just act on screen, he acted in real life, every day, to protect his dream. But what was the cost of that pretense? Rock lost important relationships, from Ken Hodge to Jack Navarre, and even his marriage to Phyllis Gates. He lived in constant fear of being exposed, especially as tabloids like Confidential hunted for his secrets. Henry Wilson, with his manipulation, did everything to protect Rock, but also caged him in a glass prison. I feel for Rock, a man trapped between two worlds, one where he was an idol to millions, and one where he had to hide himself. Have you ever wondered what's more painful, living an inauthentic life, or living in fear of being found out? The meeting with John Rishi in San Francisco was a bright spot in Rock's life. In that small Castro cafe, Rock saw a community where people could be themselves. John, with his openness and passion, gave Rock a glimmer of hope, a vision of a free life. But Rock, bound by his era's prejudices, couldn't cross that line. I see this as a small tragedy in Rock's larger story. He stood at the threshold of freedom but couldn't step through, fearing the loss of everything he'd built. Do you think, if Rock lived in our time, he could have had a different life? When Rock was diagnosed with AIDS in 1984, he faced an unimaginable choice: keep hiding or reveal the truth. He chose secret treatment in Paris, but Hollywood wouldn't let him rest. His role in Dynasty was a chance to reclaim his stardom, but it drained his failing health. On Debbie Reynolds' show, Rock could barely stand. I'm heartbroken thinking of that image, a man once the symbol of strength, now frail, yet still smiling to spare his friends' worry. Debbie, with her sensitivity, sensed something was wrong but didn't press him. Their friendship, built over years of working together, was a light in those dark days. Rock's 1985 announcement was a turning point, not just for him, but for history. When his publicist read the statement in Paris, the world was stunned. Rock Hudson, the perfect masculine icon, had AIDS, a disease then steeped in stigma and fear. But instead of rejection, Rock received love from all corners. Elizabeth Taylor led the charge to destigmatize AIDS. Letters from fans, from celebrities like Madonna to ordinary people, poured into the hospital. I feel this was when Rock truly became himself. After years of living a lie, he chose truth, and that truth changed the world. Have you ever thought a single brave moment could have such a massive impact? Rock Hudson's legacy is one of the most moving stories I know. After his death, AmFAR was founded, and millions of dollars funded AIDS research. Advances in treatment, testing, and HIV education all bear Rock's mark. He didn't choose to be a hero, but his final act saved millions of lives. I see Rock as a man who lived a life of contradictions, but found meaning in helping others. Do you feel that sometimes the people who don't intend to be heroes leave the deepest mark? Rock Hudson's story is a reminder of the power of truth and courage. From a boy in Winnetka dreaming of stardom, to Hollywood's masculine icon, to a man who changed the world, Rock lived a life of highs and lows. He hid his true self for fame, but when faced with life and death, he chose authenticity, and that choice reshaped history. I see Rock as an reluctant hero, a man who didn't want to be an icon but left an eternal legacy. Do you feel the same? Which moment in Rock's life touched you? If this story moved you, please hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel to catch more captivating Hollywood stories. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts on Rock Hudson or another star you'd like me to cover. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.